Hi, this is Adam Kunzmuller with BoardGameGeek at Gen Con 2016, and I'm joined by Jared Miller and Sean Jackman with CMON, or Simon.
Simon, yep.
And we're here to talk about Bloodborne, the card game. So, what is Bloodborne, the card game?
So, Bloodborne, the card game, we just launched here, and it is designed by Eric M. Lang, who's done a lot of work for us like Blood Rage and Arcadia Quest, and it is based on the video game for the PlayStation 4 from Sony and From Software. And it is an adaptation that puts players into what's called a chalice dungeon, which in the video game is kind of a randomized experience that the players can keep running through. And Eric has created that same experience here by each player plays a hunter. So we're all working together to make it through the dungeon in a sense, but there's only going to ever be one winner. So we have this where we build a deck, which I need to see where we have our...
This is our Chalice Dungeon deck. There.
Okay,
yeah,
excellent.
with our monsters.
So
yeah.
you're building a Chalice Dungeon deck, and it's 10 cards.
Here's our first monster there,
so
yeah.
10 cards, and there is a selection of cards to build this deck from each time. So you'll have a bit of a different selection, so it's not always going to be the same.
Sure.
We have some general monsters that people will be very familiar with if they've played the game, and then we also have mid-bosses, and then there's these bigger cards here, which, let's see if, yep. So like this is a final boss, and this boss is on the table at all times. So in this case, it's Rom the Vacuous Spider. And this effect is always on during the game. So the second time each hunter is killed, they are eliminated from the game. So this is probably one of the harder bosses that there's some different levels you can do.
Well, they should all be just like crushingly difficult.
Well, they are
right?
crushingly
to stay on
yes,
theme.
Yeah, this one is extra crushingly difficult because it just says, no, get out of the game.
Because like, you are going to die throughout the course of the game.
Yeah, if people are used to this, you're going to die.
Yeah.
And especially because we all start with this very basic hand of cards that is just a hunter axe, and they all say starter, so it just deals like 2 damage, and that's what the blood means. That's how much blood you'll claim from a monster when you hit it. And we'll kind of get to that in a minute. And then starter pistols, so we have some ranged, and then there's a transformation card, so you can play that and kind of wait for people to play their cards and see what you want to play to kind of invoke that key transformation ability from the video game. And then there's the Hunter's Dream, which is the safe haven of all of the hunters, and that's what you can play to kind of escape the dungeon and hopefully not die, but it's not guaranteed because you're only taking half damage when you play this, and sometimes these monsters can deal a lot of damage because we have these dice here that they roll. So in this case, Vacuous, if you're fighting him, would be rolling a yellow die, but you'll notice there's this 2 with a plus. Anytime you roll that, you roll again, and you can keep
cascades.
Yeah, you can keep adding that on. So that's kind of the basics of just how you start. But then you have, so we would all have these starter decks, and then if we want to show off one of these really quick, just so players kind of have
put it right on top there.
So you have your player dashboard. So the goal of the game is to be the one with the most points, and points are determined by blood, which are these, that's a 5-point blood token, and trophies. Trophies you get from killing different types of monsters.
You can see the type of trophy you're going to get. So in a final boss, you'll get one of each type, but some of the different monsters, you'll get only 1 or 2 types.
And that's kind of a good cheat. So they always say final boss or boss if they are a boss, but also like a regular monster will only have 1 trophy.
So players are going through the dungeon, fighting monsters, eventually trying to make it to the boss.
Exactly.
At what point do they switch from co-op to stab your neighbor, I want to win?
So it's kind of at any point. In the sense, because when we're early on, a monster, so in this case, this has 5 blood on it. We need to make sure we kill that monster or it's going to get away. Some monsters it doesn't matter, but other ones it actually hurts us if they get away. And so we'll have to work together if we want to kill a particular hard boss. But if we're trying to, say I don't want you to get any more blood or I don't want you to get a trophy, I can actually play something where I think this would kill you or I could somehow kill you, because you need to be one of the people that have a hit on this boss the round it dies to get the trophy. So even if you dealt him 1 earlier and he dies this like a second time, if it's a boss, because monsters actually run away, regular ones, but you wouldn't get that blood even though you dealt them a little earlier. So that's kind of when you have to turn. And we've had people who, like when I've played with Eric, he loves to wheel and deal and like make you promises.
Yeah.
And then sometimes he keeps them, but you should
how good are those promises?
He will sometimes keep them, but that's usually the surprise.
I'd gladly give you Blood Tuesday for a weapon today.
Yeah.
Because everybody selects what action card they're going to do each round.
Right.
Like it's a simultaneous selection, and it's executed in the player order.
Player order, which is determined by
This is like the start player marker kind
Yeah,
of thing.
exactly. So
rotates every round.
Yeah.
And that matters a lot just because of how you could possibly kind of screw over your neighbor.
Sure.
But everyone reveals their stuff at the same time after we've all played it, and so there's some hidden information there, and you can say, hey, I swear I'm gonna leave.
And how are players' hands of cards evolving through the course of the game?
So that's when you play the Hunter's Dream. So the Hunter's Dream is the one that removes you from the game, lets you take half damage. But once you go to the Hunter's Dream, I'm so bad at that. Once you go to the Hunter's Dream, during the Hunter's Dream step, you can choose one of these middle cards here, which will flip over. And these are new items that can go into your actual hand. And there's different melee and ranged and then like spells and stuff like that. They all have different effects and all affect your strategy of playing, so you can become a very melee, very ranged heavy. Even when you die, you do lose all the blood that you haven't saved, because when you go to the Hunter's Dream, you also save all the blood you've collected. But if you die, you lose all that blood, but we still let you get a weapon. So you still get a chance to get a new weapon, but you don't get to refill your hand like a Hunter's Dream. But that's how you keep adding. And one of the neat things is, this isn't like an average deck builder where you're kind of just increasing your deck to like a 60 card hand or something like that, or 40. You only are going to have a max of 7 cards at all
So it's always very lean.
So it's always very lean, and you always have to be very on top of your strategy if you want one, or you can just kind of be willy-nilly with it. But yeah, that's the basics. I think it's a great game for people who don't know about the video game. It still plays very quickly and it plays very fun with a group of people. But if you like the game and you've played the game, you'll get even more out of it in the sense of just the thematic setting and how well Eric has adapted that.
And how many players does it support?
3 to 5.
3 to 5. And how long would a 5-player game take, for example?
That would take probably about 50 minutes.
Under an hour,
Yeah,
really.
it's under
And
an hour.
especially
It's a
with
quick
experienced
game.
players, the decision making
Yeah.
can go very, very quickly.
Yeah, because the first game you can have a lot of kind of paralysis and figuring out what you want to play, but once you know it, it can be a very quick game.
The real thing is like the bluffing and decision making and like
Yes.
outthinking
Which one you're
opponents.
selecting.
Exactly.
And am I going to try and work with what he's doing or not? That kind of
Exactly.
stuff.
Yeah.
Great. And is this available widely now? Coming soon?
So it is available at Gen Con, but it will be coming into retail in the next couple of months.
All right, great. And once again, that was Bloodborne, the card game.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
All right.